So in this lesson, we'll be looking at 3 ways in which we can enhance a chord progression. So let's take a simple chord progression in the key of C major. We're using 7th chords. So let's use 4, 3, 2, 1. So that will be a F major 7th, E minor 7th, D minor 7th, and C major 7th. So the first way we're going to be looking at is secondary dominant chords. And secondary dominant chords are a perfect fifth away from the target chord. So we know that dominant, as we know in theory, means the 5 chord. So let's use the same progression. We're going from 4, and to go to the 3, we could use the secondary dominant, which is the 5 of that 3. Minor 7th, and a 5, which is a perfect fifth up. A perfect fifth up from that E would be B. So before we go to the E, we can play the 5, which is and we typically use a dominant 7, a 5 of that E, and then go to the E. So it would sound like this. And then we can do the same thing for the 2. So we're playing the 5 of the 2, which is an A. And we can do the same thing for the 1. So the 5 in the key of C is G. But secondary dominant refers to the 5 of each individual chord. So we can apply the 5 of each chord before going to that chord. So let's try that in the progression. Alright. So the 5 could be a dominant 7th, or we could be an altered chord. Right here I'm using a flat 13. B flat 13, and then a A13 to a flat 13, or it could have even been a A7 flat 5. So once it's a dominant chord, so the next way we're exploring is using tritone substitutions, which directly relate to secondary dominance. So a while ago we spoke about the 5 of each chord in this progression going down. But a tritone substitution refers to, as the name suggests, 3 tones up from that dominant chord. So thinking of this, the first subdominant we applied, which was B7th. What is 3 tones up from B7 from B? If we use a 6th string to visually see that, it would be 1, 2, 3, and this would be a F. So finding the nearest F would be this F, and we could apply a dominant chord there, right? So using F, so that's tritone substitution leads to that E just the same. So it substitutes for the secondary dominance. And let's try a 13th here. A F 9th with added 13. So this is 3 tones away from that A. 1, 2, 3. Right, as we can see that. So we apply that again. So from the 4, know that tritone substitution would be the same F, but we're using a dominant chord now in this case. 3. Tritone sub for the A would be that E flat, or if I want to say D sharp, into D, and tritone sub for G would be D flat or C sharp. And we could apply. Right here I'm using a ninth with an added flat 5 on the top. And we can resolve to that. So an example. Right, that's the second way, tritone substitution. So the third way we will be exploring is leading tone diminished seventh. And as the name suggests, we're referring to a 7th degree down from the chord that we're going to. So in this case, you know, the first movement is from F to E. Right? F to E. But the leading tone of that E would be one semitone down. So it's a leading tone is a semitone down, you know, so that this note leads to that E, right? So it's a major 7th down. So instead of going from the F to the E, we go to the F, to the leading tone, right? And we can do the same thing for the D. So instead of before going to the D, we're going to the leading tone of the D. Same thing for the C. And the thing about the diminished 7th chords, we can move them in various ways. So I like to move them in minor thirds. So right, so a minor third meaning a tone and a half or 3 semitones, 1, 2, 3. So once I reach that leading tone diminished 7th, I slide it up 3 semitones or a tone and a half up, or even down. Right. That's one way we can move it. Right. Leading tone diminished 7th, up by a minor third. Then to the E, that was the target, right? And before the D, we do the same thing, leading tone diminished 7, up, right, and to the D. And then the same thing here for the C. Right. Another way we can move diminished 7th chords is half step, whole step. So going from that F to the leading tone of the E, so we can go up a half step, then a whole step. So it would sound like this. And then to the E. Or instead of going to that leading tone, we can go directly to that minor third up and then go to the leading tone. So we'll get this. Right. Do the same thing there. And as I was saying, we could also move it in half step, whole step. Right, so we go. Alright, and we can also move the diminished seventh chords chromatically. So we could go or so just to recap, 3 ways in which we can enhance a chord progression. And this is just 3 ways I like to use and 3 ways I'm mentioning now. There are many other ways, of course. So the first way we spoke about was secondary dominance, which is basically the 5 of the chord that you're going to. 5, then to the E, 5 of D, then to the D, 5, C to the C. The second way was tritone substitution, which is 3 tones up from that secondary dominance. The third way we spoke about was leading to a diminished seventh. I hope you enjoy this lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message. Alright, take care.